done. Yeah, I know.
I think because of cucumbers.
But I think
No one was like, yeah, let's have a machine to make it.
okay, but I think that
We had for bringing last year, and someone told a story about this niggling.
oh yeah?
How the niggling like a person affected like a lot of people's lives.
Pickle is a cucumber.
And like everyone got inspired from that story and they started singing niggling all the time.
Ah, okay. So the whole deep sea
pickle
now.
means that it's the pickles or cucumbers.
Pickle means to put in salt water.
And then we had a second for bringing something that the person that bringing came and told the same story.
This is a cucumber, this is a pickle.
One is a cucumber flavored pickle and one is a pickle flavored cucumber. Okay?
You can lose the argument with it. And that's so much. What is this, honey?
Honey mustard. Ew.
What's small? Small
Never tasted
to fall?
No.
Okay, one day I might remember.
So how do you know it's ill?
I never even tasted, so I don't know if it's your last name is mustard.
Near Simon. Okay, then.
Shabbos nas vayeshev, Chav Gimel Kislev, Bachar Sheves, Tavshin Beis.
Fine.
It has been said many times in the past that we are the last generation of Galus, the first of Geula. All the Inyanim were already finished, and we are ready to receive the Geula Mitzvah Shlema through Mashiach Tzkeinu Tech Miyad Mamash. But there are those who ask, how could it be that Geula can come now? The whole world has to be ready for this, not just one person or a number of people, not just one part of the world, but the whole world. And it also depends on gathering all the exiles and the Jewish people into Eretz Yisrael, all over the world. They all have to be in Eretz Yisrael. So how could it be, people ask, that the world now is ready for Geula more than generations before? The Rebbe says, this will be answered by knowing how the Jews traveled from one place to another throughout all the generations. Even though the scattering of the Jewish people around the world, all corners of the world, is doesn't seem like a positive opinion. It looks like a reader, like a decent, doesn't answer. Like it's not a good thing that the Jewish people are scattered all over the world. Chazal still say, Hashem did a righteous thing. Hashem did the right thing by scattering the Jews all over the world. And we know that the Chassidus perish in this, that through this, the fact that Hashem scattered all the Jews around the world, in each and every place, what they do is they go there and they settle there and they adjust to the customs and the behavior of every place they go to, and through that, they elevate that particular place. They dress themselves in the customs and the behavior of the people that they're around with. Like it says in Chazal, Azza, Lekata, Halach, Nimusa. When you go to a city, you have to adjust yourself to the customs of that place, to the behavior of those people that you're with. Every place has different customs, different behaviors. Obviously, everything has to be al Tora. You can't adjust to every behavior. You just have to make sure it's al Tora. And then it's a very big thing. The Rambam says it's halacha. So much so that it's so important to adjust yourself to the customs of the place that you go to, that the Rambam says it's a big ikar in the Torah, and it's actually come down to halacha, that when you do that, you're much more successful, according to Torah again. So the Rebbe says, that Hashem scattered all the Jews around the world in order for them to elevate all the sparks, all the holy sparks around the world. So the sparks, the Gerim, the Totis, is talking about to elevate all the different things in the world that have to be elevated until Mashiach comes in order for Mashiach to come. The Rebbe says, from this is understood that through scattering the Jews around the world, like it says to Yaakov Avinu, you should break all the boundaries from all directions. That's how Hashem blessed Yaakov Avinu. Only through do the avodah of Bnei Yisrael throughout the whole world, when they go and they settle in those places, and they behave the same as the people where they go to, that makes a dir b'tachtonim. The Rebbe says tachtonim is lashon rabim in plural to show that there's not in one place, but there's many places, and every place that you go to, you have to adjust yourself to that place. And this becomes a big atzlacha for all the people that go there by adjusting themselves and behaving like the people they go to. Because, the Rebbe says, if you go there occasionally but you don't really live there, you're not as effective. It does not affect the people that you're trying to affect. It's not really, it's not the opinions, it can only affect the mechitzonius. So for that, from here we understand the Ilui, the greatness of our generation. The Rebbe says, there has never been a scattering of the Jews, a distribution of the Jews all over the world like in our generation. The Rebbe says, even in time of the Beis HaMikdash, most Jews settled in Eretz Yisrael. Some settled outside. It was definitely, the majority was in Eretz Yisrael. And then that generation proceeded. More and more Jews scattered around the world, but there's never been scattering and distribution of Jews having been placed in all four corners of the world like in our generation. And wherever they go, they elevate their place, they fulfill Torah mitzvahs, they dress themselves in that place, they live there, they learn Torah, and they mekayim mitzvahs behidr, which is a pnimius effect on that place. And they elevate the whole place. So never has been such an elevation to the world, to the entire world, like it is in our generation, because there's never been a scattering, a number of Jews so great that it is all over the world like it is in our generation. And that's why the Rebbe says, that's why we understand how the whole world now is elevated and why we are ready for Geulah to come. Everything goes in general and goes in pratis, the Rebbe says, in pratis. And to look at it more specifically, the Rebbe says, this whole inyan of elevating the world is really emphasized more on the country of France. France, the Rebbe says, is brought down in Tora that we read last week. It says the Galus, as the pasuk goes like this: Galus achel azel bnei Yisrael at Tzarfas, Yarshu arei negev alum shivach tzish b'Yisrael v'ayit alavay amlucha. That Galus started with France, and the Geulah will start with France also. The Rebbe said this pasuk is really talking about Geulah. What is the nafkamina? Why is it so important for us to know that Galus started and ended with France? Why is it so important to know that about France whatsoever? So the Rebbe says, from the fact that the Torah speaks about it, we see that when Mashiach comes, it's important to know that redemption, that Geulah, is connected to France, but also started with France. The Rebbe says, why? Why is France so important to know? The answer is, in the time of the Rebbe, Napoleon and Russia had a war. It was like a world war. Russia and France had a world war. And the Rebbe very much wanted Napoleon to lose and Russia to win. There were other Gedolim in his time, in the time of the Rebbe, who wanted the opposite. And the reason is they wanted the opposite is because if Russia will win, Jews will be very poor. They knew that. If Russia will take over, Jews will be very poor, and then they will suffer greatly. Now the Rebbe says, yes, it's true they will be poor. If France will win, Napoleon will win, Jews will be very rich. But if they will be, they will abandon the way of Torah mitzvahs. They will totally go off the path and stray away from Torah mitzvahs, and God forbid, it could be the downfall of Judaism. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe wanted very much Napoleon to lose and Russia to win, and even though Jews will be poor, they will still be connected and be totally devoted and frum and be 100% religious and have Yiddishkeit. And therefore, he so much wanted Napoleon to lose that he ran away, did not even want to be in the surroundings of Napoleon. And while Napoleon was chasing him, during the chase, the Rebbe passed away. Chazal Tevis in the city of Vienna. Some of the Hasidim said, maybe the name of the Rebbe, the Rebbe brings down in a footnote that it actually shortened the life of the Rebbe in 10 years, that chase of Napoleon, after Napoleon chased him, the Rebbe. So, the Rebbe says, what was so bad with France winning, besides the fact that they're going to be, in other words, we said, if France will win, Jews will be rich. And will, and as a result, will abandon the ways of Torah, will go off the path completely. But there is more reason than just because of money and being rich that they will abandon the ways of Torah. And the reason is, the Rebbe says, because of the ideology of France. That ideology was that until the time of Napoleon, the rule was of France and other nations was under the domain of the queen and the king. They were in rule, they decided what to do, everything was under their domain, and they had the last word. And the whole revolution that took place in the time of Napoleon was to overthrow the king and queen, so the domain, the whole rulership, the whole sovereignty will go into the hands of the public, the hands of the people. They don't want to have a king and a queen anymore, they don't want to have anyone to decide for them what to do. The Rebbe says, in and of itself, freedom is good, but that freedom was not based on belief and trust in Hashem. That freedom was based on fear, on heretics, on not believing in Hashem, believing in oneself, believing that I am responsible for myself and I am the source of everything that I have, and not God, God forbid. And that was the whole basis of that revolution. So therefore the Rebbe says, that ideology of France was so strong, it was contagious. Contaminated other nations at their time, but it also continued to affect a lot of other countries until this day, the Rebbe says. This ideology continued to contaminate and affect other nations of the world until this day. Some modern cultures out there and nations and people adopted this ideology that I can do everything on my own. I am my own source. I am my own power, and not God that forbid. And I totally abandoned the way of God and belief in God. And therefore, the Rebbe resisted this and did not want the Jews.
This week is about France?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Did not want the Jews to be under the rule of France. Because of that reason. And the Rebbe
I
says,
don't have any French this year.
You have no friends this
and the
year?
Rebbe said this was a toike of the klipa. This was the strength of the klipa.
What do you say?
This was the
What's
strength
this
of
We have no Frenchies.
the opposite
Oh,
side of
French.
Kedusha. And
We
this
have no
now,
friends.
the Rebbe says, has changed completely.
No one
Russia won
No one
the
likes
war.
Frenchies.
Jews were under Russian rule. They were very poor. They were poverty-stricken, but they were very grum. And they were Mekayim Torah mitzvahs till the point of Mesiras Nefesh, but God forbid of giving life up. But they were very, very devoted and totally cleave to Hashem and Torah and mitzvahs. That's how Yiddishkeit continued on. And Baruch Hashem, till this day, many Jews all over the world, worldwide, including us, are actually benefiting from this. So the Rebbe says like this, that France lost, and France had to be overturned, not by another place, but by Hasidus, by the Rebbes themselves. What the Rebbes did, the Rebbe says, no, not starting from the Alter Rebbe, but they actually waited 4 generations until the Rebbe Arash. The Rebbe Arash, the son of the Tzemach Tzedek, visited France a few times. He made a few Baal Tshuvas over there. He would go there occasionally, not many times, but he did not settle in France. For some reason, it was a divine plan of Hashem that France will be elevated later on. But like we said before, if the Shliach does not settle in the place that he's going to in a way that he lives there, he's going in Kavua, in a steady manner. Not that he comes there occasionally from outside and he says some Torah, or he's trying to do some time. That will not affect the place in an inwardly way, in a pneumistic way, only b'chitzonis. But it was not the case. Until the time of the Alter Rebbe, nothing was done, all the way until the Rebbe Maharash. And the Rebbe said, the Rebbe Rashab visited France many times. He printed a few Chassidus, he printed a little bit of Chassidus. He did not live there yet, but he visited France many times. He did affect France, the Rebbe says, in a great way, but still, it was not in Pnimis. Until the Frierdiker Rebbe. Said the Frierdiker Rebbe went there, was there occasionally. He printed a few of his Igros Kodesh, printed Chassidus over there in France. And he sent Shluchim over there, and the Rebbe adds that he also established yeshivas over there.
There is also some of his family over there, no?
Huh? Rebbe, he sent the Rebbe.
Referring to the Rebbe.
Sent the Rebbe, yeah. The Rebbe in the footnote says that the Rebbe himself, to show you how low France is, the Rebbe himself had to go there. There could not be a shliach that could go to France and elevate France. France was the lowest of the low, so low that it was not in the koyach of a shliach to go to the Rebbe himself. When we see he set France, the gematria, the numerical value of France is 770. 770 is a source. It's the powerhouse. It's the Rebbe himself. The Rebbe himself, 770, had to go to France, elevate France, bring it up. And then when they left France, the Rebbetzin, the Rebbe's wife, told the Shluchim, we did all the work already. So you can just come and pick the fruits, we harvest the fruits.
The Frierdiker Rebbe evident?
Yeah. The Rebbe says the Rebbe fruits over here that he actually went there, said Chassidus over there, printed Chassidus over there. But he never settled there in a steady manner.
Was the Tzafat is the same letters as Paras?
Paratza, yeah. Brings all this down. Then the Rebbe says like this,
He's French.
that
He's not French.
in France itself, the Rebbe says we can see in the word itself, Tzarfat, is from the word Letzaref. Letzaref means to elevate, to refine. Letzaref, the Blias. The Rebbe says, there's two ways to do this. There's two ways to refine a place. You can go to a place, and you can teach Torah, and you can print Chassidus, and you can do everything. The place receives from you, but receives in a positive manner. It's not really moving anywhere. The place stays the same way. It's not really changed. That's one way. Then you go to a higher level. That's the first stage. The second stage, the Rebbe says, is a higher level where the place itself becomes a source of Torah. Not does it only receive from you as a makabel, but it becomes a mishpia. Built yeshivas, they built schools, they built kindergartens, they built Talmud Torahs all over France. And now France does not only become a recipient of makabel of Torah, but now becomes a distributor, a mashpia of Torah. Some of the best yeshivas, as we know, the Rebbe recommended to many Bachrim and many mashpim to send the Talmidim over there because those were the best yeshivas. Until now, we have a lot of people that go to France to the yeshivas, and they're saying actually these are the best
Going there, right?
yeshivas in the world.
Going
Send them.
For sure.
And the Rebbe says, how did this come about? Now this is so important, this nekuda, we're going to say right now is very, very important because we're going to say, first let's say it, let's say why. The Rebbe says, how did the Shluchim get the koyach to go to France or go all over the world and become Shluchim, elevate the world in its entirety? The Rebbe says, we're talking about the Chatzikater Hatachta. Jews mainly lived around the world until the Frierdiker Rebbe mainly. In the Chatzikater Elyon, when the Frierdiker Rebbe came into the scene, he sent a lot of Shluchim to the Chatzikater Hatachta. The lower hemisphere, we're talking about that where the Torah was not received. Where did they get the koch to elevate the world all over, worldwide? The Rebbe says it's because of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe is an Asiyadari. He's the leader of the generation. And therefore, when he sent Shluchim, when he himself wandered from places. He was first in Russia, then he went to Poland. Each place, the Rebbe says, be'erech, 10 years. Went to Russia, 10 years, be'erech, 8 years really. Then Poland, 10 years, and then the United States, the last 10 of his life, he lived here in the United States, in Brooklyn, New York, and he elevated America. America nicht anders. America is not anything different, he said, when he came in off the boat, that people said, America is not just like a piece of, how do you call it, dry ice. Not only ice, cold ice, but dry ice. You're not going to change anything in America. So he said, America is nicht anders. America is not different. I'm going to change America like I changed Russia, like I changed everywhere else. Obviously, he knew he was going to succeed, and he succeeded tremendously. And the Rebbe says, because he is a Nasi Adar, because he is the leader of the generation, So when he did this, when he made these changes, when he went around the world, by him going around the world and elevating every place that he went to, Russia, Poland, and America, by that he gave the power to the shluchim to do the same. If it's not for that, they would not have the koyach to elevate the world. It's a very important nekuda because, it says that Moshe Feinstein, you probably all heard about it. This doesn't say in the Sikha, but it's, I don't think a lot of people, Shpeim bring this up, whoever knows. He tried to send shluchim also all over the world. He sent like 50 of them, and they all came back. And except for one, they said that he got a job over there, and then he also left that place also and came back again. Because people don't have, shliach don't have a koyach to go anywhere and be successful and make the whole place change around, upside down, if it's not from the Rebbe, if it's not from the Mshalach, if it's not from the koyach of Nasi Yajar. This is very important. Important nekuda to know. So France was totally overturned. France became a powerhouse. Not only did it not resist, God forbid, Torah anymore, not only was it going the way it went years ago, with Kfira, with heretics, where they went totally against the Torah, resisted and went against the Torah, now it became a center of Torah, to emanate Yiddishkeit, build the best yeshivas in the world, and be a distributor of Torah, one of the best places of the best yeshivas are over there now. The Rebbe says it's all because it started with the Frierdiker Rebbe. He gave the craft to that, and he went on, and the Rebbe did it. Then the Rebbe finishes off. He says like this: that there's a very wondrous thing about France. We know the song, the anthem, the French anthem that we sing during davening. This is the French anthem. The Rebbe said Hasidim Tafshin Lam Dalet started singing this anthem.
Napoleon's March.
Yeah, they started singing it, and a few days later, the Rebbe says France changed its anthem. France changed the French anthem and started singing a different one. The Rebbe says, what's the
A
explanation?
different song, or they just changed the note, I think?
No, they changed the whole thing.
Right?
The Rebbe says, what was the reason for that? The Rebbe says, every nation has an angel, like a responsible angel above, and that is in charge of the anthem of that country. And when the Hasidim saw, in other words, the angel above gave up the French anthem. It was like a divine plan. The Hasidim felt this, and they started singing this. And he gave up, so therefore the angel, the minister of France, gave up the entire anthem and had to change it. This was all divine, obviously, divinely planned by Hashem as a plan to take it and turn it over into the hands of Kedusha and take it out of France. And France completely changed its anthem. The Rebbe says it's a very big miracle. This is one of the miracles the Rebbe says, the greatest miracles of our generation. People don't consider it like a big miracle. They don't understand like what's a big deal, about singing something in France. That's the Rebbe said this is one of the biggest miracles that took place. And the Rebbe says, so what is the big deal? People, like we just said a second ago, people will ask, what is the big thing about taking an anthem and changing it and singing it, and then they're changing it, and then we're singing it, and then stop singing it. The Rebbe said, first of all, it's a big miracle. Second of all, it's a time that we're saying the Sikha right now is Chanukah. The Rebbe says it's a big thing to say, to advertise miracles. And that is the directive, that is the Ra for this Shabbos. The Rebbe says that we have to advertise miracles. And know that advertising miracles is a big, has a big effect on bringing the Geula faster. As we see in the story of the Gemara, when the Gemara says about Tzidkiyahu, Tzidkiyahu did not thank Hashem for the miracles that happened to him, and therefore that was a time for Mashiach to come, and the whole thing was cancelled and taken away from Tzidkiyahu because he did not admit and thank Hashem for the miracle that took place. And therefore, from this, we learn, the Rebbe says, that we have to, during vayeshev, this is the time we're saying this is Chanukah, a big hurrah for this is to know that we have to advertise miracles as much as we can, and know that Geula depends on advertising miracles. In other words, the Geula can happen any minute. Like the fact that we're advertising miracles, this is where actually why we are saying miracle stories nowadays. A lot of times before we say miracle stories, This is one of the reasons we're saying it, not because it's segula for nasa, segula for different things, also because the Rebbe says in Shabbat vayeshev Chanukah, it's very important to know this and to keep in mind that when you're saying a miracle story, you can actually make Geula happen. And the Rebbe goes to end off by saying that אחר כבר עומדים לאחרי כל העניינים והגדול עדיין לא בא דבר נחם ויצר לעסק בעניין של פרסום וניסה פרסם אצל עטפה ואצל זולס בחומקו ומקו לסניסים של סעד המשמעו אימן בתחידה שבזה קשור הגאון תפשטיים ותשסדס ואחר אז כמה וכמה בני חנוכה שיהיה להם פרסום וניסה כנראה שכאילו אז לנצח ימים אלו נוסף כל הפעול מבצעי חנוכה יפתו מבצעים או חנוכה לארטיס ועדיוס, חסידיס ועדיוס Sisha for bringings and the college of Bashana after the Katan before you make Hanukkah. Okay, you have to bring every day of Hanukkah. Somebody said it's so from the Red Bed, you have to bring every day of Hanukkah. I'm saying every day of Kislev. I didn't see this. It could be. I mean, I don't recall seeing this somewhere. I mean, pretty sure the Rebbe will say something.
Yeah,
like that. But I remember seeing this. What the Rebbe is saying now. I don't remember that every day of Kislev. I remember like what the Rebbe is saying now. Every day of Hanukkah you should bring. So that we're planning on bringing Sharatzion every day of Hanukkah. When Hanukkah comes in, starting
Shabbat Hanukkah.
Starting Sunday night. We're going to have Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Shabbat they have free.
Every day of Hanukkah. We're gonna bring.
There
There it says.
No, David.
But that was Divrei Torah. And speak Divrei Torah over there. Nikla the Torah, Primis Torah. In those for bringings, the Rebbe says to speak Nikla the Torah and Chassidus and Primis Torah. And to be Bekayim Alachos Tevis B'chol Yinan Torah Mitzvahs. And in Oifen of Maisi V'Elach V'Oil. Basically, it's Hanukkah just like the candles that we increase a candle every night. So the Rebbe says to speak Nikla, to speak Chassidus. This is a very special Rav directed because the Rebbe doesn't say that. When he says, the Rebbe says this for praying, it doesn't say you must speak Divrei Torah over there, and you must speak Nigla and Chassidus, and you should add every night. You should add more the night before. The Rebbe doesn't say this anytime. I mean, I didn't see this lashon. Here, the Rebbe is saying you have to speak Nigla in the Farbrengen, you have to speak Chassidus, and you have to add, just like you're adding by the candles every night. You have to add in your Torah every night. Very interesting lashon. And the Rebbe says to be mefarsem, but the ikal davar b'inyan pirsum nisa, anisim b'inyan b'yamim lahem b'zman to say the inyan of pirsum nisa. Maybe if you have miracle stories also. Aynani menav b'kashon tzafas yitzay v'atach mizvad l'zum mikam hashim tzes kam mekuzah. Okay, then the Rebbe says there's a whole group of people over here from France. The Rebbe said l'chaim with them. And the Rebbe ended off v'yirat shavir v'aficha shal tzafas yachad mishon misavoda v'yiru v'chol oyel v'yiru techef miyad v'poel mamash et geula mitzvah shleima. The Rebbe says. And then he said l'chaim to the French group. That's the last three lines over here. Then he sang the Rebbe hinted for them to whistle with the fingers.
Now go on your phone. Now you can go on your phone.
So, I have to forget. Good night for Hanukkah. And speak English, speak Chassidus.
Who's your rabbi? Who's the rabbi?
Transition is David Cohen. David Cohen.
He's in 770 right now.
Yeah. I think he's going to come for Shabbos now. Wow. So yeah, you can shut it.